This is an Ampersounds production.
In the novel, like, I named the brand of the car, and then like later on I like talk about the same car and I used a completely different name, and like it was like the third edit where someone finally caught it. I think like a man looked at it and was like, you've said it's like a Micra here and you've said it's a Fiat there. I was like, I don't know what these
fucking
things
cars.
are. They're just cars. I had no idea.
It's like a round thing.
Yeah, it like very nearly made it into the final thing.
Hey babe, how you doing?
Hello, yeah, I'm well. How are you?
I'm okay. I like the tie.
Thank you.
I almost put a tie on today actually, but I didn't have a fun one.
Yeah, I'm building a collection of very fun ties.
Yeah, no, I'm liking the look. How's it going?
It's going well. Yeah, It's cold.
It's freezing.
Yeah, absolutely freezing. But I'm trying to welcome it in. I got back from Jamaica. I was there for a residency a couple of months ago. Well, I got back a month ago. And when I got back, I was like, no, I can welcome in the seasons. It was too hot there. And I'm eating my words now because it is really cold. But
I fully hate the cold. I'm actually scared of the cold. I think it's not the cold so much as it's the like, it's going to be cold outside. And I'm like, I'm scared of being cold.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're under your quilt.
Yeah. Getting up
like
is tough. Yeah. This morning I got up to go to the gym, was like almost out of bed, and then was like, no, I'm gonna stay and slept for 2 more hours.
Are you a morning gym person?
I have to be, otherwise I don't go.
Oh, I wish I was a morning gym person. I tell myself I'm a morning gym person, and then it just never happens.
Yeah, if I try and go any later than 10 a.m, I won't. I'll go and I'll leave. And so
really?
It's just completely pointless.
I have to like smash a coffee. Like I have a double espresso at like 5 p.m. and then I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah, how is post published author life treating you? You're at the back end of the kind of promotion and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah. So the official tour ended a couple of months ago, and it's been good. It's been surreal. I think there's so much excitement when a book comes out, and there's so much buzz, and my like team over at my publishers, Merky, were like so on me. I was kind of like texting them every day and going to events and getting on trains and meeting loads of people, and then you're suddenly exhausted, and then that all stops, and then you're like, what do I do now?
What do you do now?
Write another book.
Yeah.
I think try and find money wherever I can and write another book. That's what I'm focusing on at the moment.
So how is your, like, I always find it weird when I speak to authors about, like, by the time you're talking about the book and we're reading the book, you've almost had like however long since you finished it, like when the idea was conceived in your mind, like there's been all this time. What is your relationship to the book now compared to like when you're first giving your manuscript over?
Yeah, it's really, really strange. It changes so much. So I first had the idea for this book in 2018, I think, or around then, maybe a little bit earlier. Finished it in 2024, and then it came out this year. So I had a year between like no edits being made to it and then it coming out. And I kind of forgot about it. I was like, I hadn't forgotten. I knew it was coming out. Everything was leading up to it, but like I hadn't been in it. And then I recorded the audiobook just before it came out.
Did you do it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got
the theme tune, sing the theme tune.
Well, exactly. I thought I'd like dust off my my uni drama club chops and give it a go. And then I like read it for the first time in full, like for the first time in a year, and I was like, oh. Yeah, I did write this, and it was really like big in my brain for a while. And then you do the tour and you talk about it all the time, and so it becomes kind of something else because you haven't made any changes to it, and it sort of belongs to the reader. And anyone who's read it has like a completely different view on the work, and it's really strange how it becomes something entirely different. And now, it feels kind of distant. But I love to kind of waken it back up because it's all still just like in there. But yeah, my relationship to it has definitely changed, especially when people read it and they point out things that kind of maybe were subconscious, maybe were deliberate and you've forgotten them, or like just stuff that you hadn't realized. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, this work is no longer for me. Like, and it never really was because I kind of wrote the book because I had the idea and I thought it was good, and like it happens, and then you realize that like a book is actually nothing to do with the author once it's done. It's like a story for other people to experience and to like have their emotional reaction to, and that's really gratifying that you're like, oh, this isn't mine anymore, it belongs to everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, that's so powerful, you know. Actually, I kind of agree with that with art in general. I don't know why this just came to my head, but do you remember when Beyonce released Renaissance, right? Mm-hmm. And then she had the La La La's from Milkshake in it, and then Khalees got pissed off. Mm-hmm. And then she removed the La La La's, right?
Yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking, but the song's out. You can't fucking edit the song after
How can
the
you
song.
do that? Yeah.
And I still sing the La La La's when I listen to that.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that. It's like fully like, it's almost not yours anymore in a way, or it's like it is yours, but it also belongs to everyone else, and everyone else gets to have like their opinions, and that's what I like. It's scary, even just with making this podcast and with creating anything. It's like you have to just kind of be okay with everyone having their opinion about it, right?
Totally. And it changing as well, because like with the podcast, people will like hear something you say and it will like strike a chord, or it will like piss someone off or whatever. You don't have any control over that. And with a book, like I can want to evoke a certain thing by the way I write it, but the medium, it exists in every reader's head. So every single time it's read, it's a completely different piece of work.
Yeah.
Because their imagination, their kind of experience all goes into the way that they imagine what you've written on the page. And so you can be as descriptive as you like, but they're always going to picture things in a slightly different way. It's always going to resonate in a slightly different way. So every time it's read, it becomes a new piece of work. And I kind of love that. I love the idea that everyone who pictures the main character, or who pictures Felix, or any of them, like pictures them in a slightly different way that's like based on like what they've seen, what they've experienced, who they know, and like where their references are coming from. Because it just means it takes the pressure off, because it means like, yes, I've made this work, yes, I want it to be a certain thing, but now that it's out, it's a collaboration between the book and the person who's reading it. It's actually not to do with me anymore, which is quite nice.
So are you like bored of talking about it? Are you fed up with talking about it? How are you feeling about talking about it?
No, I like talking about it. There was definitely a point during the book tour where I was like, God, if one more person asked me who would play Felix in the film, I'm gonna jump out of a window. But I think that was when I had done 8 events in 8 days, and I was kind of like, I hadn't really slept, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
I actually asked around some author friends and was like, what questions should I not ask? And so hopefully it doesn't become too boring for you. But I'm glad you're not bored of talking about it, because I do have some questions about it. And actually, obviously this was like a big theme of like the promotion of the book, or what people were constantly talking about. They were talking about Saltburn, right? And funny enough, when you said picturing, because of Saltburn, I basically just pictured Felix as Jake Belordi. That's basically what I had in my head, right? And I guess, like, I don't know, I feel like in a way how I experienced Felix, it maybe is softer than Jake Belordi. Jake Belordi is quite sharp and quite harsh and quite like, whereas I found Felix more almost angelic on the outside, from what I was reading. But did you at any point think of changing the name?
Yeah, so that was a big discussion point. So for any listeners who haven't read it or don't know what it's about, Sunstruck follows a young mixed race man who goes on holiday with the Blake family. They're really rich and really kind of posh and glamorous, and he falls in love with the entire family and with their oldest brother Felix. I had written all of that, and I think I'd done my second round of edits, and then my editor just sent me an email with a link in it, and underneath she'd written, "This could be a problem." And the link was to the Saltburn trailer, which had just come out. And so I watched it and I was like, oh damn, it's not the same, but there's some really similar themes, and the central character, like love interest, are both named Felix. And I was like, that is a bit of a rub. But we discussed it back and forth, and we decided that the comparison was it was welcome. It's not like a direct one-for-one comparison, so you welcome something that does so well. And 2, with the Felix thing, we were like, at the end of the day, that guy is called Felix, you know, like that is what those boys are called. And like we toyed around with some other options and changing it. And I think I was loath to change it just because he was such a Felix in my head. So
well, I mean, you and Emerald Fennell must have had an experience with a Felix.
Do you know what I mean?
Maybe it's the same Felix.
Yeah. Problematic posh bisexual.
I mean, actually, that's a good point. Like, is there an importance in the names? Do you kind of pluck them out, or do they have a resonance for you as the writer? It
depends. So some of them, yes, and some of them, not so much. Sometimes they just are called that. Like when you think of them, when you conceive them, when you kind of receive them from like whatever creative thing you're pulling from, sometimes they just come with a name. Like Annie Blake, the kind of matriarch, that just was her name when I kind of first thought of her. The kids, I did have reasons for them. Felix, just that kind of, that's the archetype, and like he's lucky, he's like happy. That's like his facade is that he is all of those things.
To me, Felix is a cat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And he is quite feline like in how he moves. I think there's like a liveness to him. There's like a golden glow, all of that kind of like lucky, happy, and that's like all his front, I think, was for Felix. Lily, I think because she's beautiful and kind of sad, it just sort of fit. And then Dorothea, who's the youngest Blake sibling, they're named after, I think they're like a minor god or like witch in Greek mythology. And it felt kind of like it fit her like nature, which is like a little bit rebellious, a little bit kind of like doomed by her fate, but also just like, I feel like the Blake parents would name one of their kids after something from Greek mythology, just like really like double down on the poshness, and then go for Dot because it's like easy to say. Like you meet so many people who would be like, oh, my name's like Cass, and then it's like Cassandra, and then they're like really into like Greek mythology, and their parents are just like super posh, and you're like, okay, cool.
So did you search for that, or did it, because it kind of like you came up with it and then it fit for you?
Yeah, so with that I was like, oh, I think I got the name Dot, and then I was like, what could Dot be short for? And then I went back from there. And sometimes you'll get something and you'll be like, okay, this is it. And then you'll kind of Google like, oh, what does that mean? Or like, why, like what associations does it have? And then they'll really fit. And sometimes you're just trying to find something that sounds right. Like I think Celeste like just came to me because I was like, that's just kind of like a bit sexy, a bit mysterious.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit sexy, isn't it? Yeah. The one thing that I really liked, well, many of the things, but one thing that I really liked about the feel of the book was these scenes with how music was so important for our character, who is the narrator. Like you hasn't got a name. We don't find out his name, but the narrator is the relationship that he had with music and his mum. And I really resonated with the putting the tape in the like car, and that was like really something that I brought back from my childhood. Like for me, for my nan had like a red car. I don't know what cars are.
Yeah,
but it was red.
in the novel, like I named the brand of the car, and then like later on, I like talk about the same car, and I used a completely different name, and like it was like the third edit where someone finally caught it. I think like a man looked at it and was like, you've said it's like a Micra here, and you've said it's a Fiat there. I was like, I don't know what these fucking things are. They're just cars. I had no idea.
It's like a round thing.
Yeah, it like very nearly made it into the final thing, and I know there would have been someone online being like, you've said that these are actually not the same car, and I was like, thank God someone caught it.
Oh my God. No, well, I really love that. For me, my memory is my nan loved the Lighthouse Family for some reason. So it was like Lighthouse Family to the end of the tape, flip it over, Lighthouse Family. But what I wanted to know was your relationship to music as a child. Like, was there music in your house? And what kind of music was there, and what kind of relationship do you have with it?
Yeah, there was a lot of music in my house. My parents both love music. my mum kind of has like quite an eclectic taste. So her and my dad's first date was to a Human League concert.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is kind of fab. But they saw like loads of music. They saw Nina Simone at Ronnie Scott's like twice.
Oh, wow.
At like the start and end of her like final European tour.
Wow.
So we listened to like a lot of Nina Simone, a lot of Ella Fitzgerald, a lot of that like kind of from like that jazz scene and like the later stuff. But also my mum loved like old sad men with guitars, a lot of like Jim Croce.
Who's that?
No one's ever heard of him.
Okay.
Again,
I like old sad men with guitars, so
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I'll find out who he is.
And then kind of my dad's music taste is really funny. Like his favorite artist is Elvis.
Is it?
So we listened to loads of Elvis. But then like his like, so you remember when you used to buy like CDs in like petrol stations and like service stations?
Yeah.
He would like drive a lot for work, and then I once was like going through his car and it was like Joss Stone,
Okay.
Pink,
Okay.
Amy Winehouse. I first
Wait,
heard
and he got these from okay.
yeah. Amy Winehouse. But the first time I listened to an Amy Winehouse song was like in the back of my dad's car. So yeah, he's a bit of like a like sad pop girl.
But I mean, they're all kind of like, apart from Pink maybe, but they're all kind of jazzy.
Yeah, a bit jazzy, a bit
Yeah,
soulful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of that at home.
Did that inform when you were writing? Was that in your mind?
Yeah, 100%. I think, especially with the jazz that's in the book and like the music that's in there, a lot of that is like just really evocative to me of my own childhood, but also I just think musically it's so a lot of it's so sad and so like soulful and yearning. I think it allows you to see in the narrator like he's drawn to this music. There's kind of like an emotional current to it, and it also allows him to connect. And I think something that those singers like Ella Fitzgerald did is that they did like bridge talking about like a racial divide in the US, but in the book like more of a class divide. But like Ella Fitzgerald was like so big both in like the black community and then performing in white spaces, and it was like a really important time musically for like crossing those boundaries, and it was kind of like one of the only places that black people could like cross those boundaries and like mingle with white people, and so that serves as like a parallel in the book as well, I guess, of this music kind of linking him to the Blakes, although there's power still running like through it.
When I'm thinking of Annie Blake, right, and she's this famous singer, this is his mum's favorite singer, right, and then am I right in thinking that there was this implication that David Blake kind of discovered her?
Yeah. So it's kind of implied towards the end that.
Or should I not say this?
Well,
Okay,
yeah, no, we
sorry.
can go in. It's that there's like talent there, but in order for her to have had the career that she's had, she needed money, she needed wealth, and so there's question marks about the chicken or egg. What came first, the love or the career? Because again, I think what plays out, or I try to do in all of the relationships that occur in the novel, both romantic and platonic, is to examine and pick apart which way the power is flowing. Because the kind of thesis of the novel is like how much of our relationships are governed by what we want from other people, what we can get from other people, and how much does love or affection or desire push through the structure of power that we're in that make it harder to kind of build relationships across those divides. And so that happens like in the big relationship, kind of Felix and the narrator, but also in all of the smaller ones. So the narrator and Jazz, or narrator and Lily, but also in the Blakes, like in between themselves and between everyone they meet. I try and like find out what people want through their relationships. Which maybe is a really cynical way to look at love and friendship, about whether or not it's transactional, but that's what I'm trying to pick apart in Sunstruck.
I mean, yeah, I think it's, in many ways, friendships are transactional, but not in kind of like a derogatory way, and kind of like we give each other something, as long as it's not one way. We serve, even if it's just a kind of like a company thing,
Yes.
or some kind of like a support network, or whatever it is. I guess when you're getting into like the realms of beauty, which is a big theme in the book, and like power and money and fame, then what you're doing becomes more nakedly transactional.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
I did quite like the fact that no one seems to get anything without connections in the book. You know, everyone seems to be, even the narrator has a job because of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I found that really interesting, especially, I guess you find out later on that he's an actor. Felix is an actor. And yeah, I think that's really poignant right now. You know, like actors are more and more from like upper class backgrounds. And what I found funny, talking about the class divide, sorry, I watched his interview with Rafe Fiennes' like nephew.
Right.
And he's like really hot guy, whatever. He's an actor, but he's like got a family crest. He's like from a dynasty. He's like super rich. And he's like sat in this interview and he's like, yeah, it was like really good to get into this character. And I'm thinking, what the fuck voice is this, you know? But in a way, I guess it's kind of like now that's like London voice, no matter what your class is. And in many ways, that proximity to kind of different classes and different races gives rich Nepo babies a currency, a coolness.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely. I think London's a really interesting like place because I didn't grow up here, but when I like meet people who did, you're right. Sometimes it's impossible to tell if they are from the estate or if they are from the road, like 3 roads up from the estate, where the houses have cost £3 million for like, and are going up, like,
and where you've set the book or where they live is like one of the most starkest examples of that. Like Notting Hill, Ladbroke Grove, like all of that is like you got some of the richest people and some of the poorest people living right next to each other. Like was where Grenfell was, and like the whole point of the cladding that was put on Grenfell was the fact that like Kensington residents didn't like the look of a fucking tower and they wanted it like cladded in something nice.
And like that area of London has always been such an important site of tension, both with like rich and poor. It for a long time, I think it's now been overtaken by Tower Hamlets, but it had the highest wealth disparity and the highest life expectancy disparity between its residents of any borough in London. Wow. And also it's had so much racial tension, like from the 50s to now, like it's ongoing, but it was like the site of all those kind of really, really racist like signs and posters like during the elections, and also about kind of like no blacks, no dogs, no Irish, like that was Notting Hill. So and then you have Carnival kind of like springing out of like a racially aggravated hate crime that happened in Notting Hill Station, and then like a protest that then becomes Carnival, but becomes what it is today, and it's still a site of like massive racial tension. And like, I mean, in the book, but in real life, is used as this like political racialized football by politicians like every year. Like I don't know how many times I've been like warned by kind of well-meaning white people not to go to Carnival because it gets dangerous after dark. And it's like that's such an easy thing to repeat, and it's so easy to like pick out certain kind of things that you hear or things that are like propagated in media because it fits a comfortable narrative, and like it's kind of wrapped in this concern of like, oh, it's about your safety. But if you like take a step back and you're like, what are you actually saying? Like, are you saying that like black people gathering in celebration is inherently dangerous, or are you like picking a like statistic, right? People like do die, people do get hurt, but like that also happens around London all of the time. And so like when you're talking about the concentration of black people into a certain area and then like calling it inherently dangerous, and you have like in real life, as in the book, people boarding up their houses and kind of fleeing the area for the week, it's like there's something else going on other than the kind of legitimate concerns of the statistics of what's happening there.
And in a way they are brainwashed against it, because every there's a whole bunch of residents that want it stopped, you know.
Yeah.
And like I remember even Ken Livingstone trying to get it moved to Hyde Park back in like, I don't know, like 2003 or something like that. But I mean, that is that serves as quite a flashpoint for our characters. Clashing worlds, I imagine. Do you know, like these two places that he finds himself like in between, and like it's a theme that I identify with. Like I think if you are a mixed race person, you kind of go through this process of figuring out where you belong. I'm interested in where you're at now. Like you said, you've just been to Jamaica, right? And obviously we've had this like devastating hurricane. You've got family over there. What's going on with you with that at the minute?
It's really strange. I've always kind of been very proud of being Jamaican. Like my dad's Jamaican. He came here when he was 8 in the 60s. My mum's family is like Irish Catholics, grew up in Salford, and have kind of like lived in and around Manchester and Cheshire. And so like those are two like really strong identities, like the Jamaican side and the like Irish Roman Catholic side, like both like very big cultural identities. And I've always felt that they kind of like have quite seamlessly gone together. I like the mix, because it's a lot about family. It's a lot about kind of enjoying life, celebrating life, quite a lot of excess. Both sides of my family are like quite big drinkers, but it's just like it's a lot about joy and like being together. But I think with my Jamaican side, because I grew up kind of like a little bit removed from it, it was just like my family that I knew. I didn't feel like I was in a community. I think there's parts of that experience that I maybe like didn't get, and so part of what I'm, I guess, trying to explore more now, like as an adult, is what those parts that maybe I didn't have growing up, like where I can find them. And in part, like going to Jamaica was a big part of that.
Had you been before?
I had, yeah. I went when I was 10 because my grandma got remarried and they decided to get married in Jamaica. So I went then, and then we went back when I was about 13. But I hadn't been since then, and we stayed in like hotels like down on the coast, and it was really beautiful, but I hadn't been as an adult and I hadn't really kind of explored it. And one thing that I was kind of worried about before I went was feeling like I didn't belong, or being made to feel like I didn't belong. I think you hear a lot, and I've spoken to a lot of people who live kind of like in diaspora, of like going to where they come from, and feeling this like sense that they really don't belong. And so I think I'd like built up a bit of a guard against that. But when I got there, I really, really didn't feel that much, and it was quite a nice surprise. I changed flight in Miami on my way there, and as I was at the gate in Miami, I kind of looked around and I realized that everyone waiting at the gate looked like me, or like my aunties, or like my dad, or like my brothers. And I think it was my first like proper experience of being like, oh, I look Jamaican. Like there's like a certain kind of look of like what Jamaican people look like, because I kind of consider myself politically black and kind of like mixed race, if we're like getting down into it, and then we can go to the Jamaican and the Irish Catholic and all of that. But like I kind of will say that I'm black as like a political identity, but I hadn't really considered myself to be Jamaican and to like look Jamaican and like what that meant. But seeing so many faces that looked like they just could be my relatives in the airport was like really, it was really beautiful, but looked like really quite strange. And then when I got there, I was just made to feel so welcome. And I think when I explained to people kind of what I was doing, I was there researching my next novel, and also connecting with family, just so immediately, like everyone's initial thing that they said in response to that was like, oh, welcome back. And it was just really, really gorgeous. And I actually remember when we went when I was 10, I might get a little bit emotional. we were waiting in the queue for immigration, and like for anyone who's ever been to Jamaica, those queues are crazy. The like infrastructure and like bureaucracy there is just like a complete mess. But we were waiting for ages. And then eventually like my dad went up to like go and talk to the guy at the desk, and he like gave him his passport. And it says like place of birth, like Jamaica. And the guy just like looks at him. And my dad hadn't been back for 39 years at this point. He just looks at him and he goes, "Oh, welcome home," and just like waves us all through. And that's the first time I ever saw my dad cry. And I felt like an echo of that when I was there recently. It was really, really beautiful. I also got the experience of like going to the plot of land like that my family still own, like my relatives over there still own and live on, but like where my dad was actually born. And the house that he was born in doesn't exist anymore, but I like stood like on the spot, which was like completely mad. There was this like rusted out car that like I know from stories of like him and my sisters talking about that car like when they were growing up. And I met his uncle who like still lives on this plot of land. And it was just, I think like I hadn't been able to situate that part of my identity anywhere. I hadn't been able to like tack it onto place, because like when I'd visited as a child, it was like these like beachfront hotels. It all feels very kind of separate from like what my dad's life must have been like. But being there, talking to his cousins, talking to his uncle, seeing life there now, it like allowed me to really picture it. And yeah, I just feel really, really lucky to be able to have like physically stood somewhere and be like, this exact point on earth, like this is where I'm from. Because I think as a mixed person sometimes, or just as someone like living in diaspora, it's hard to imagine if you've not seen it. And so seeing it was really profound.
Yeah, that is quite amazing. We spoke yesterday about like the similarities and the differences between our relationship to the culture, and we almost have the opposite in that I'm third generation, so my dad was born here, right? And my grandma, and I've never met my dad, but my grandma used to work in a fruit market, and my mum used to take me to my grandma when I was a child. So I have like really faint memories of this woman. But I have no relationship with my black family. But what I did have was a wider community of black people, right? So I never felt not black. I never had a place where I felt not black. And I think part of that was I had this wider community. A lot of my mum's friends were black. But I went to a majority white school. And what I did distinctly get was I was not white in a way that I did not get I was not black from my experience. So my relationship to blackness has my family's from Grenada. I have a kind of peripheral relationship to Grenada, like when they're in the Olympics I'm like supporting them. Do you know what I mean? Like things like that. But my relationship to blackness is very British, even to the sense that like I think I have a black British identity that is like tied up in a lot of Jamaican culture because of the size of the diaspora in Jamaica. Like it's outweighed it's immeasurable how much Jamaican culture has influenced British culture in general, but black British culture. And then also the African diaspora, you know, that I didn't even realize was coming from that. We were just all, and you kind of write about that in the book, actually, to be honest with you. Well, you have a character who's from the African diaspora. Yeah. And so, yeah, my relationship to blackness has been very British in a way that I've never felt like I didn't belong here. I think also because like the white side of my family is English as well, so I've never really felt like so when people are like, where are you from, I love being like, not even in a combative way, but I love just being like, do you mean why am I brown? If it's that, then like my grandma's from Grenada, and they're like, oh okay, you know what I mean? But I never felt like I wasn't from here. Do you have a relationship to being British at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I feel British. Like I feel very, very, yeah, like a bit of a, like I'm very, very English.
Do you feel Irish?
Sometimes.
Was your mum born in Ireland?
No.
Okay,
No. Like it's like a couple of generations back.
Okay.
So my grandparents were born here. And so like, we're like very English. My like upbringing was very English. It's like Cheshire countryside, kind of until about 10 years ago, like only black family in our quite small village. So it was very white. It was very English. It was very like crumpets, tea and toast kind of vibe. And I like really, really love that like side of myself. And I think, yeah, it's weird because the thing you were saying about being very aware that you're not white, that was, very, very clear to me. I was like always at predominantly white schools and in predominantly white spaces. And so you're kind of passively and sometimes actively othered. And like there's varying shades. Kids are kids. Like it can feel kind of violent. It can also just be like, that's just like how things are. But I think I had felt sometimes when I kind of got a bit older, went to uni and then moved to London, and you kind of find more of like a black community, I sometimes felt like, oh, I missed out on some like cultural references. But then in like some very real ways, like you pick it up. Like I didn't come out until I was 21, and like I've managed to pick up a lot of queer references, you know. So like if you apply yourself, you just do the reading.
Oh my god! How did you? Wait, let's talk about that. Sorry, first of all, while you were talking, I just had this like idea of like the comments of like two mixed race gays talking about being black. I was like, don't cancel us.
Yeah, no, don't cancel us. I'm very, very aware that I look like this and sound
and I'm
like
annoying,
this.
And I'm annoying. But wait, you came out when you were 21.
I came out when I was 21.
Oh my god! Did you feel? So were you at uni?
I was at uni.
Third year
of uni, yeah.
I mean, I came out in various stages, right? But like, I thought, I've had this, I think maybe it's just part of me inherently, but I had this thing like, I needed to catch up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So 21, I do suppose like, even though I was out, you're still trapped. Like most of my friends were straight. Do you know what I mean? I was like sneaking off to bars or whatever. But yeah, so 21, what was it that made that happen?
I just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I had been keeping up the pretense. It started as trying to convince myself, and then by 18, I was like, I knew. And I like had a string of girlfriends. I'm sorry to all of you. And
do you still know any of them?
No, I don't.
You're like,
actually, no, one of them I've reconnected with. She's a lesbian now.
Okay, fun. So she saw it coming.
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of like were each other's beards when we were like 15, 16. And yeah, I had this girlfriend at uni, and I was just like, I'm so sad. Like, I can't do this. And we broke up, and then I was like, right, like whatever is waiting on the other side of coming out, it can't be as bad as just like feeling this sad and this trapped. Like I just kind of like had to do it.
So it wasn't like a guy or anything like that. It was like an internal.
Yeah, it was an internal thing. And I'm so dramatic. I sent a letter to my parents.
Fun.
I think my justification for it. Yeah, I think it was handwritten. I think I handwrote a letter to my parents.
Get your quill out.
And like my justification was like, I just don't want to have this moment where I have to say it. I don't want to like see their reaction. I just want to like get it out. And I also didn't want to pay the train fare back from uni to just go home just to tell them that and then be like just with them for the weekend. So I was like, right, I'm going to send a letter. So I sent them a letter. And then I told my housemates, like on a night out, we were like in some bar.
Oh my god! So you were like totally 100% in like no one. You didn't talk to anyone. And did you have any experiences?
Oh yeah, yeah. From like my like late teens, I'd been sneaking around.
Okay, let's put a pin on that. But let's say you talked to your housemates. How did that go?
It went really well. We were in a nightclub. I was stood on a table. I was like shouting it over the music.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like incredibly dramatic. So there's a picture of it that ended up on as my cover photo on Facebook. And in the background, there's this guy. And like a month later, I meet someone outside a bar, and we like get chatting. He becomes my first boyfriend. Shout out Andrew, I love you. And he's the man in the photo. He's like, he was there on the night that I came out, and we took that as a sign that we were meant to be together forever. We're not, but we are still friends.
Okay.
So yeah, from coming out, it was a mixture of surprise and people being like, well, yeah, duh. Because I'd like, to some people, I think I'd really played the angle of like kind of straight boy having girlfriends, and to some they were like, it's just so clear that you're homosexual.
Yeah.
But yeah, I then went kind of catching up. I think did a lot of catching up.
So when did the trying to kid yourself end, or did it?
I think probably like partway through my second year of uni. I think I was really resisting it. I think it was less to do with my, like what I thought my family would think, although that like came into it. But more to do with like school. I think my school was like really homophobic.
Was it an all-boys school?
It was an all-boys school, God. There were girls in the sixth form. But the kind of gay witch hunt that happened, like every single day, every single action, every single word, every single like the way that you would like walk into a room, everything was so observed.
Did anyone ever have your number?
No, and that's the thing. I was so good at playing
It's
the
shocking
role.
to us.
Yeah, it's really, it's crazy now because I'm like really faggy. But at the time, I was so good at playing the game that I kind of just thought that I could keep doing it. And I also thought that I had to keep doing it. And so it hadn't really occurred to me to come out until I was like, oh, I think if I don't do this, like I might die. Like it was like, but I'd been in so much pain. It's weird because I was like pushing my identity down, but I was also pushing down the pain of not acknowledging it.
Yeah, but that is what makes it even worse, and that's what ends up with like serious mental health conditions and like suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. Because you when you push it down that deep, you have no idea what's driving all these kind of like like things. Like you do crazy shit. Yeah, no, I really relate to that. What did your parents say then?
They were fab. Like I sent the letter. I sent it second class, and I thought because I was a student,
you're like, let's not rush.
No job. Yeah, let's not rush this. And for some reason, don't know what's going on with the postal service in Newcastle, but for some reason, it arrived the next day. I was at med school at the time, so I was like on a ward round in a hospital. And I like checked my phone because I was bored, and I had like 10 missed calls from my mum, and like a text from my dad being like, "Hi, call me," and I was like, "Fuck." So,
cancelled.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh God." So I like made an excuse, like went to the bathroom and like called my dad, and he was like, it was really sweet. He was like, we love you. I just wanted you to know that like that will never change, and I'm really sorry that you felt you couldn't tell us in person. But like we absolutely love you, and like it's absolutely fine. And I was like, oh,
yeah, but that is
amazing. Like now I'm like that's so lovely. At the time, because I think I'd built it up so much in my head, like it was not an anticlimax, but it was like, when you're so fearful of something, like I thought they were going to turn around and like disown me, and like they were so good about it that I just
you're disappointed. You wanted the sub story.
No, kind of. It's more that I'd built up an emotional defense.
Yeah.
Like I'd got to a point where I was ready. I was like, oh, if I have to like find somewhere else to go for Christmas, if they stop talking to me, like I'm ready for that. Like I can do that. And then for them to be really loving, it was such a relief. But also I then had to kind of process this distancing that I'd done, where I'd kind of convinced myself that I didn't need them. I'd kind of like pushed myself away from them in preparation for telling them this thing that I thought would blow everything up. And then it didn't. And then I was like, oh, how do I actually find a path back to closeness with my family after like I've prepared to kind of be disowned by them. And
what did that look like then? What did that path look like for you?
Yeah, it was tricky. Like there were some things I think, no one's perfect, and like the like response to it was like mostly good, but like occasionally there would be like some things that would crop up or some things that they would say, and I was like working through stuff, and like had a lot of anger at like the world, and a little bit at them, and I think they got very mixed up. So there were a couple of years where it was tricky and we would fight, and like it wasn't perfect, but I think knowing underneath all of it that the love was there was like really, really important. And just like, I think being kind of queer, being an adult, being black to an extent, and just like trying to get through your life with like everything that it throws at you, you're just constantly forgiving yourself, forgiving the people you love, just like for kind of everything, you know? It's just like this constant like, I understand, I can accept it, I can move on, I can forgive myself, I can forgive you. So I think that's been a lot of the process, just of like being alive and like having parents.
100%. Relationships in general are about forgiveness and compromise, essentially. If you can't forgive and you cannot compromise, then you've got to walk away from the relationship, you know.
Totally.
And so yeah, it's a big part of that. I want to talk about these secret experiences you had, and like they were tied into the book. Like I really resonated with that boy's holiday, and how I identified with, and like obviously you can read the book and find out what we're talking about. But he's basically in the closet. He's got these friends, and he finds someone on Grindr and runs off. And I basically had like when I was about 15. Like, this is the thing about me, is like, I was in the closet, right? But like my yearning and my expression was so like palpable that like I couldn't like control it. Like, I think I went through the whole like, fuck, I'm gay thing at about 12 or 13. And like I told people, went in, whatever. It was all about bravery really, rather than realization for me. But when I was about 15, it was Halloween. And me and my friends, like lads, were like just running around the city, kind of like doing Halloween things that a group of boys do, which is kind of like throw eggs at things and whatever. And basically, we went to Embankment, and I knew that heaven was there, and I like ran away from. I was like, I'm going home, and I ran away from my group of friends, and I went to heaven.
Fab.
And first of all, I thought I was like the shit because I like, they let me in, and then I like took my top off and I went backstage and all of this stuff, right? And I thought but now I'm just thinking, oh, they just saw some like messy twink or whatever, and we're just like come in. I was like, oh, it's so hot. I made up with a man. I remember like that was the first time I kissed a man, and I remember feeling his stubble on my face, and like feeling his stubble and being like, oh my God. And this will show my age, Hung Up by Madonna was like playing in heaven, and like and it was literally like, and I was like, and I lost my top, ended up losing my top. I ended up like, some gays like at the bus stop gave me a t-shirt back.
Okay, you were that girl.
And yeah, and it was like a really great experience, but it didn't, I stayed like in the closet, and I did like things like that for ages. What was your experience?
Yeah, I mean, similar, I think. It's like, I mean, I grew up in the countryside, so I didn't have heaven to run away to. But yeah, it was kind of like furtive. It's sneaking around, you know. And I think those early sexual experiences are kind of like very confusing because they're amazing, they're like liberating, they're exciting, but like, because you can't share it with anyone, and because it's kind of like clandestine, you kind of open yourself up to being quite vulnerable. I definitely would like sneak into gay bars whenever I had a chance. I would sneak into strangers' cars, and yeah, there is a passage in the book that. It's not beat for beat, something that happened to me, but it very closely mirrors an experience I had while I was on holiday. And it was amazing. And like some of it was like really, really wonderful. And like I was actually talking to a friend about this yesterday, that like I think when I was in the closet, those kind of sexual experiences were both this like source of shame, but also like this like freedom from it, like in the moment, because it was what I wanted, because it was like so like right. And like now I'm like very like joyful in like how I approach like sex and my sexuality. But like there was a glimpse of that then when I was kind of like in my teens, and it was like, well, this like feels good, this is right. And like the shame comes kind of like after and later, and it's like really complicated. But there were these like glimmers, these like moments of like, okay, there's like I don't know, there's like a possibility of joy. But I also do think that like when you have a system that ostracizes and like penalizes queer people for their sexuality, especially like boys, and you push it into these kind of like hidden spaces, it does leave like a lot of like young people quite open to predation. Like I think it's probably quite common experience, like a lot of like gay men I know, that like early sexual experiences are with men who were much older than them.
100%. And actually, to the point where I was talking about this with my friend the other day, where I remember I was getting with this guy and I lied about how old I was, and I thought I was a sexist thing because I was like pulling this like hot older guy. And then I look back at it older and I was like, I was not slick and fly. I was a victim.
Right. Well, fully.
And I was thinking, actually, he probably didn't even need me to lie about my age. You know what I mean?
No, totally. Like I'm 32 now, but like if I saw a 15-year-old, I would know that was a
crazy.
15-year-old, right?
Crazy
so
to
like
think,
it's
right?
like and when you have that realization moment, as I think a lot of gay men do, you're like as you say, you're like, oh yeah, I was the victim there. Like that was.
But it's like I still don't actually look at myself as a victim.
No, but it's like really complicated because
like,
like I wanted that, I was whatever, and it's like it's really really muddy, and I think it's something that like I'm still unpicking, but like there. You lose some of the like, I knew what I was doing. I fully got away with that. They believed that I was 18.
It is more looking back and going, I did not look like overage.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I look like a child. And like you said, when you see someone who's 15, 16 now, and you think, that is literally a child. And I was like in people's houses in their 30s, like taking drugs when I was like 17. And I'm thinking, the idea of having a 17-year-old in my house taking drugs with me is insane.
It's so crazy. And you're like, well, those men are like were predators, right? Or like were, you know, aware of what the dynamic was in a way that like I wasn't when I was that age, you know?
But do you know what I sometimes think about is what, like you were talking about with the power dynamic, right? They obviously wanted someone young around them. I wanted to feel important and to have drugs and alcohol bought for me.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like,
you're like, what is the transaction?
Yeah, there is a transaction there. Not saying it's right, please don't cancel me. But it is very complicated. And yeah, like I don't know, if I had one of my friends who was doing something like that, I would definitely be like, I don't know if they'd be my friend anymore.
Well, yeah,
honest with you, that's the thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I like. I come up against is like, I just cannot imagine anyone that I know or like me being like in the situation of the older person in that scenario, and yet it's such a common experience for like young men, like or people of our generation when they were young. That is like there must be a lot of people out there who are doing that and who are actively engaging in it, and it's like it's a really troubling thing. And like I think I have had these conversations with like a lot of queer men that I know, but I don't know how much I don't really know where I land on it. It's like it's very complicated, and like something that I've spoken about like kind of, I guess privately with a lot of people, but I haven't like heard that many kind of opinions on it or like takes, I guess.
Well, I think it's interesting because the like heterosexual culture has had a big conversation about their rules, their kind of dynamics, the versions of consent that they have, and by definition, because we've been outside of the mainstream, and also for a lot of until very recently illegal or outside of mainstream culture, and because it's often between two men, so the dynamics are different. I do think they are different. The conversations haven't been had, and actually the answer probably is we don't know where it's going to land yet. You know, like just by definition of we're having like generations of gay men who are now adults who have like never experienced like the levels of discrimination or like just the levels of discrimination that even we had when we were in school. Like for me, like I'm not saying homophobia doesn't exist, but like I think at some point being gay stopped being as bad as it once was. And so you're going to have a generation of people who don't have that inherent fear of it, of having to hide, of having to have, because sometimes I joke and I'm like, oh, I wish we could go back to like gay culture being a bit more like underground, and I'm like, or
we could like not have all the mental health problems that we have. But it's weird, like now you could go to a gay bar and have like someone in there who has grown up relatively free from homophobia, but definitely free from kind of like that legislative institutional homophobia, like didn't grow up with section 28, like no like gay sex was criminalized in their lifetime, to like, so that like young person could be in a bar and then you could have a man in that bar who like certain kinds of gay sex were like literally illegal to have. So it's like that like breadth of experience like within the same community means that like all the opinions on all of this like how it works will be so different, because there is no one experience.
Exactly.
And I wonder, I guess, where the responsibility lands on like how we discuss it and how we record it, because like our history and our attitudes have like been in such like rapid flux. If you look at like from like AIDS to where we are now, like the experience of a queer person like in that is like so wildly different. Like I remember when like growing up like in the noughties and like thinking about like gay sex, it was like, oh well, if I do that I will probably get HIV.
Oh yeah, 100%. Right? I had that. I still carried that for like relatively recently,
that fear. And then I remember when I went on PrEP for the first time, like, and like actually believing that I wouldn't contract HIV, and just being like, I didn't realize I'd been carrying like this like link between sex and death around with me, and like taking PrEP and then that just like disappearing. Like that was so intense, like such an intense feeling to like have that lift, like so freeing, so liberating, but like very strange. And there's now just like a generation of people who don't even associate like sex with any like fear in that way, which is like really beautiful.
Yeah,
but, like,
it is
to have someone that's like basically has like little to no risk of ever contracting HIV, like if they are using the like correct protection, and then to have like, again, if you're looking at the gay bar, in the same bar have someone who lost basically all of their friends, like that like gap in experience is like so huge.
It is so huge, and it like sometimes I do look at gays of an older generation. I just think like it is complacent. I used to know this older guy who would like go to this bar I'd go to, and he would always talk about like how lucky we were, and this was in like the late 2000s, and he was just like, yes, he used to say like, we banged the gates of Parliament for you, and I was just there with my drink being like, thank you.
Thanks babe.
Thanks. But even since then it's changed so much, you know, and like we had when Owen was on, he talked about this idea of not this idea, like a case in the 90s where if you lived in a house share and two gay men were having sex in that house share, they could be done for public indecency, which is crazy. We like so much has changed. Like even the idea of having a family. Do you know what I mean? Like when I came out to my mum, or when I spoke to my mum about it, one of her fears was the idea that she wouldn't have grandchildren. Right? Now that isn't. Yeah, like the idea is like she can have grandchildren, and like, do you know what I mean? We live in a totally different world.
Although I guess like the wolf is always at the gate. Like I think if you look at like Italy recently, like repealed like the right of homosexual couples to adopt, like that's like a 2-hour flight away, you know? Like, I think we have these hard-won rights, like people were like banging on the gates of Parliament, right? And like marching in the street, and like an entire generation of men just like died because the government didn't take HIV seriously. And like we now live in like a relative amount of like huge privilege with all of our rights, but like there are people actively trying to undo that, and it's 100%. Like starting with the trans community, but like and that in itself is enough for us to have to like fight as hard as we can to protect the rights that have been won and to continue pushing for like what we deserve. But it like they will simply not stop with trans people who like deserve our protection and deserve to be fought for like within their own right. But also because like their struggle is inherently linked to ours, inherently linked to the struggle of queer men, but also of like black people and of like working class people and of disabled people. Like it is all the same fight, but it starts with the most vulnerable people. And
100%.
Like, it's got so violent and so intense so quickly in the last few years that I'm like, yeah, we are where we are with like gay rights, but like I do not take any of them for granted at the moment.
No, you're right. I think it's like we can look both at being kind of grateful for what came before us, but also like we are a part of, we it's not just an end game, like we're a part of a larger movement, and like we're just where we are in it. Like, and yeah, like that's why I hate fucking LGB Alliance, you know, like I don't know if even hate is really the right thing, because the whole idea is for them to like separate trans people from us, which is just like you and I. That idea is bizarre because like all of our queer kind of circles are tied up together. Do you know what I mean? Completely. I've got friends who were like my gay friends who are now like my trans friends or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And it's the idea. I say I'm not sure if I hate them because I actually kind of think it's really sad, like LGBT Alliance type people. Because on the one hand, what you have is you have gay men who are essentially like, where do their identities lie, really? Their identities lie in kind of like their economic position and the fact that they're men and the fact that they're white men, and or like just men in general. And I think in a way, you know, this kind of incel Andrew Tate culture of like masculinity almost kind of envies that kind of like upper class white gay man, because they can live a life totally devoid of like women and like all of that stuff.
It's all the same thing. It's like this end point of like capitalist individualism that's like built on white supremacy, that is built on misogyny, right? And it's like I can express myself, I can express my gayness with my boyfriend or my husband who looks exactly like me, and we don't want to be sullied by the image of the outsider, the outlier, the one that doesn't fit in our kind of sanitized version of like whiteness, of like gayness as it approaches heteronormativity, of like established class position, established wealth. Like anything outside of that is a threat. And I think that's where they try and find those cracks and try and find those divisions to separate the LGB from the T. Like it's so it's built on such a fundamentally flawed logic to me that like, again, I don't know if I can bring myself to hate them, because it's just like, well, they are hateful, so there's like they get it back in return. But it's like it's so clear to me that they've been completely duped by the system that it's like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, and they are wrong in their feeling of safety, 100%. Like they think that it will be safe. Like Peter Thiel is very weird, but he's essentially going to, if we keep going down this road, he's essentially going to serve as like the oh my god, I've forgotten what the name of that. Who's that like Victorian banking family who were like the Nazis used them as a propaganda thing. What are they called? The Rothschilds. There you go. Peter Thiel will essentially become like the Rothschilds of the modern right, where he's this gay billionaire tech guy who's trying to control everyone, and he's like this decadent elite. And he's not like, he thinks that's going to be safe from him, but eventually they will, just as they've already in America, they feel like they've won the trans issue. They're going after women in general, because essentially it all boils down to a version of like hatred of women and hatred of the outside of the manhood. And so none of them are safe. And they think they're safe because they think it's just going to end there. And like, oh, we can just, and like same with the TERFs, they think, oh, it's just going to end there. But all you're doing is you're chipping away at the unity of like our group essentially, and you're being sold off. And it happened with, I hate it every time when like there's an election and like 10% of people vote right wing, and or 10% of black people vote right wing, and they're like, oh, see, maybe they're not racist because, and you're like, don't you think that like there's been black people throughout history who have like wanted to be a part of the ruling class, wanted to be protected from the worst excesses of like white supremacy.
Totally.
Like they always existed, and that's what these gays represent. They represent essentially like the house slaves of like modern culture. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, fully. Like absolutely. And it's like, yeah, and I don't know how you get back. I think people are so convinced that they will be fine, that like if they spout this like hatred, if they like cause this division between themselves, that they'll be protected from it like in return. And it is just so flawed to me that like I don't see where it goes. And like it's the same with like the Home Secretary at the moment, like,
Or Shabana.
yeah, just like stoking this like racial division, but saying like, no, the brown people in this country, you should want to control immigration, to get rid of refugees because they're making us look bad.
It's really disdain that argument.
It's like how stupid do you think we are? And like why allow that kind of like tit for tat hatred to like become government policy?
But the level of wrongness that they have, because the idea is that if we don't be really cruel to the current first generation migrants, because they say asylum seekers, they say refugees, but it changes every time. And Nigel Farage and Reform people mean all migrants and their like children and generations down. So we can say refugees, we can say asylum seekers, whatever, but they mean migration. And if we are not cruel and harsh to those, then they're going to turn around and be cruel and harsh to us. No. Because we are cruel and harsh to these people, next they're coming for us. That's how it always goes.
Well, exactly. And like if you look at some of like the earlier reform arguments that they like sweep under the rug, like there's the potential for like me not to have a necessary claim on my passport, right? And like I was born here, but like because I have a claim for another passport, if I did something wrong, I like already under British law, if I like broke the law in a huge way, like they could try and take it back. But like for like people who have been here for decades and decades, Reform are like, well, maybe not, maybe they should go home. And it's like, that's where we're going. You move the needle slowly, that's where it ends up. It doesn't just like get to a point and stop because you're like one of the brown people that helped them get to this point. They will keep going. And it's like, I find the argument like fundamentally flawed, and it's either naive or disingenuous. And I could talk about the Labour Party for a long time, but they don't deserve the air.
well, I just would say we're seeing it in real time now in America, because they're a little bit ahead of us on this road, right? In different ways. Like I think there's more kind of transphobia within our like government, but because America's like a larger, more diverse place, so they've got extremes, right? But there is a Indian American Republican politician called Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm sorry if I got that name wrong. And he ran for president, and he was a big supporter of Trump, and he's this big like MAGA tech guy, right? And now he's running for like governor of Ohio or something. And I watched a town hall, because now they all go to like colleges because of Charlie Kirk. So now they just go to colleges and talk to college students because they want to be the next Charlie Kirk. And this guy stood up and was like, Yeah, I really like what you say, but the problem is you're not white Christian. So, like, how can you be in charge of America because we're a white Christian country? And this fucking cuck has to sit there and be like, well, I really respect your opinions, and yeah, but we're MAGA and blah, 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 blah. And, like, these guys have to go and debase themselves, humiliate themselves all the time. And so that should be a lesson that, like, what you are is a tool for them. You're not part of the gang.
Yeah, completely. And, like, you look at like the like fairly recent, but like I think 3 is a pretty strong pattern of like having a brown female home secretary that is brought in to amp up racial tension as like the friendly brown face of like increasing hostility towards black and brown people in this country. And it's always like, it's used as this like thin veil to be like, well, no, look, she's a brown woman. And it's like, yeah, but the things she's saying wouldn't be able to be said by a white man because, like, quite rightly, they'd be pointed out to be incredibly racist.
Until they push the dial far enough where they can get rid of her and then put the white guy back.
Well, exactly. And it's like, yeah, it's I was going to say it's a scary time. It's got to a point of being a little bit ridiculous. Like, I kind of, like, I'll see a headline and be like, oh, really?
I actually do have hope. I do have hope just because actually the Trump program has been so much of a joke. I do think reform might win, but I do think they'll crumble under the first hurdle. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of giving like, if, no offense, but if Jeremy Corbyn had won in 2019, it's kind of giving like, how long would have that actually have lasted? Do you know what I mean? But like Shabana actually is the one that has me really shook because there's those pictures of her at like Palestine rallies in like 2015 with like the keffiyeh and like fucking all the flag and stuff like that, and now she's up there. And so that could be just like some person you meet at a rally. It's going to be the next fucking Secretary General. Like, I don't know. I mean, well, anyway, we got really political. I got loads of opinions about that. But like, should we like do a quick pivot and talk about what you're listening to right now?
At the moment, on repeat, I have Lux.
Lux.
I'm obsessed. I have been. I think it's a really good time to be a former Catholic. There's like a lot. There's a lot coming out from the pop girls that just feels very like breaking free from that like religious or like social trauma. Lux is amazing. I loved Virgin, the Lord album.
You're a Lord. I'm not a Lord person. You kind of give Lord fans.
So I'll take that. I wasn't. I kind of like liked some of her music. I kind of like dipped in and out. Solar Power came out when it came out, and I was like, oh, whatever. I don't really like this. And then I went through quite a big breakup in March this year, and a friend recommended listening to one of the tracks on Solar Power, and I did, and I was like, wait, this is hitting really hard. And since then, it's only been a year-long love affair.
I mean, sometimes you do need to hook in to something.
Like, it's hooked me right in.
Yeah.
And I went to the tour a couple of weeks ago with some friends, and it's one of the best gigs I've been to.
When you have heartbreak, do you have a song? Because I'll tell you what my song is. And like, I'm in a relationship now, it's a long-term relationship, but like whenever I'd have a fling with this is why I related to the character so much, with some like beautiful person, and I would like project everything onto them and imagine my future with them, and then it would end, I would listen to Beautiful Ones by Prince.
Okay.
Because at the end he's screaming,
nice.
Do you want me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll be there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
That is a big one that I always listen to when I'm feeling heartbreak.
Yeah.
What is it? Do you have one?
I will say that Losing You by Solange, if I had a record of it, it would be worn out by the amount of times I've listened to it after heartbreak. A lot of Amy Winehouse. I will always return back to Amy Winehouse. I think Frank is a perfect album, and she just sings about like the messiness of love, and I've had a lot of messy love in a way that's just like so like really, really gets me.
Can I be controversial? I think Lux is better than Brat.
I agree. I agree. I loved Brat. I had a Brat summer.
I'm sure you did.
Culminating in me breaking my ankle at the Brat tour at the gig last year, and then quite promptly quitting alcohol. After that, I bratted Too Close to the Sun, and I don't do that anymore. And so I loved it. I thought it was great. And I thought it was like a culmination, like musically, for like Charlie. For like, it was she needed that. She needed the summer. She needed her flowers. Like she deserved that, and it was hard won. Lux is a better album. It's beautiful.
I think the thing is with Brat that it is that it's got tracks, but I actually don't. There's a lot of the album I don't like. Like I really like 365, 360, Von Dutch. Kind of like Guess. I don't love Guess.
Yeah, it's one of those songs that just like it got played so much that it's kind of destroyed any dopamine in my brain from hearing it. It's like the rat pressing the buzzer and getting no.
But
no reward.
But I think, but I do think. I guess what I realize is that there's a lot of skips on that, whereas I am just listening to Lux through and through. And I really like it, and I guess it helps that I don't understand the fucking bitch.
Yeah, and when you look at some of the lyrics, you're like, okay, I'm not sure, like, poetically that makes any sense whatsoever, but, like, singing in, like, Italian with your beautiful lisp and then, like, going into Latin and, like, German.
Is she doing all these different... I didn't even know there was that many different languages.
13 different languages.
Oh, wow. Because I'm just there being like, does I feel about... And my boyfriend's like, that's about men being trash. And I was like, oh, okay, well.
Yeah, and it's gorgeous. And it's, like, it's funny. And it's, like, musically... like bizarre. I sent it to my mum to be like, I think you like this, and she was like, it's like ABBA and Beyonce and Hildegard von Bingen, and I was like, yeah, it is. She was like, I need to hear this in a Spanish cathedral. I was like, okay, I know where I get my drama from. But
so you said that you think the pop girls are really hitting right now.
Yeah,
because I was like, because I am like in a really. I'm just in a really like judgmental place with pop music right now.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but we just spoke about Lux, and maybe I'm wrong and I'm looking at things through a dark lens. Like Zooey also put me in my place about this, but like who else is doing stuff that's exciting?
So I've always been a big Florence girl.
Oh yeah,
I really liked her new album, and it's been a while since a Florence album's like really hit with me, but this one I just it hit. Sympathy Magic is a beautiful track, and I am gonna say. I really like Lily Allen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I always have. I think her music is really funny. And I think if you aren't a great singer... which, like, she has a nice voice. She's not a vocalist, right? She is a storyteller. She does autofiction and she comes for people. She wrote a song cussing out her nan in, like... the 2010s. She wrote like one of her biggest tracks is calling her brother Alfie Allen from Game of Thrones a like lazy pothead who like
I
doesn't
remember
do
that
anything.
with the Muppet. It was the Muppet. In the
video, like she literally like painted him as a Muppet and like released a diss track on her brother, a diss track on her nan. How do you think you're going to get away with cheating on her? Like she's obviously going to write a really brutal album about it, and I think as like a piece of culture, like a divorce, an immediate divorce album, and it being Lily Allen, I think it's like a perfect piece of culture. Do I think I'm going to be listening to it in 6 months' time? Probably not.
Well, she's doing the entire fucking album at Mighty Hoopla.
Oh, she is.
Maybe by next year she'll be like, actually, I'm doing Smile and
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, when you said she's not a singer, I had that Whitney Houston clip where she's talking about Paula Abdul and she's like, she's singing off key on the track.
Yes, my mind always goes to is it Aretha talking about
beautiful gowns? Beautiful gowns
every time.
I mean, I'm not a big Lily Allen fan, but like, so I tried to listen to it and it just wasn't for me, and I found it quite. I just found it quite like not interesting, like not lyrically interesting. Do you know what I mean? Like I found it like it was just she's just saying shit.
But that's about Lily. She do be saying shit. Yeah. Like that's kind of what she does.
I was listening to If I Speak with Ash and Moya, and they were talking about it being the album itself being the revenge for the affair.
Yes, and I think again as a piece of culture, like Lily Allen has always existed as an artist who is kind of playing herself. So she's always like doing a performance of herself, whether or not it's like constructed by the media who like hounded her in the noughties, or whether it's now where it's this like reclamation where it's like, yes, this happened, and my way of processing it is to like write this album and release it, and like to do like a big kind of like performance of it in my life, of like going to all these parties and like dressing up as Madeline for like Halloween and just like kind of getting your revenge through releasing this thing, and then kind of like being like, and that's what you get, and I'm gonna like pull back. So like to turn like the, I guess, like pain and shock of like an embarrassment of like this divorce, of like being cheated on, into like the ultimate win of being like, I'm gonna release a like really brutal album about it, and then I'm just gonna like pull away. Like I think it's kind of Lily Allen through and through, and that's kind of why I
Fair
like
enough.
it, because it's messy.
Yeah, well, it is messy. Yeah. She was like, "Oh, I recorded it in 10 days," and I was like,
You can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell, but like again, that's like part of it. It's like who's allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Like everyone apparently. Like,
and do you know what?
And
It's
she
like
did.
it's completely changed her image. She's now like the it girl again.
Yeah,
like
she's
Gen
back.
Z's loving her.
Yeah.
Okay, babe. What can you tell us? Sorry to handbrake turn, but what can you tell us about book 2? What are you working on? Can you tell us anything?
Yeah, I can. I am working on a new novel. I can't say too much about it because it's kind of slippery and nebulous at the moment, but it is looking at 3 generations of a Jamaican immigrant family. So grandfather, father, and son, and it's about their experiences of I guess they're different experiences of like being black, being from Jamaica, and like being in London, and like what it means, and how certain things echo across generations. And yeah, that's why I was in Jamaica researching it, meant to be writing it, but didn't get that much done while I was there. But that's the project. I'm quite excited about it. I love being at the start of something because everything's possible, and it's going to be the best book ever, and like you have so many ideas. So I'm kind of like sitting in that bit at the moment. I do need to sit down and get some words on a page, but
I mean, that's cute. I mean, the conversation ran away from me, and I forgot to ask you all about being a doctor, but maybe you didn't want to talk about it. But did you ever miss being a doctor?
I don't miss it. I miss some of the structure. I miss having this like wealth of knowledge that you garner over a really long time studying, and then just like being able to immediately apply it and see the result. That was really satisfying. But I don't miss the hours. I don't miss the kind of infrastructure of the NHS. It just wasn't for me, and I'm kind of glad to be out of it. I used to do role play for medical students.
Oh, did you? Yeah, and it was quite funny. So I had to pretend to be ill or whatever.
Yeah,
and you could just see these like whatever year they were in, these students kind of like go into their like Filofax brain and be like, you're like, oh, and does it hurt here? And you're like, yeah, and they're like, okay, it hurts.
Yeah.
It's like, and these kids just in this like
human
position
algorithms,
and they're getting like, and the whole point of it is like they have to be personable while they're like in their brain, like, oh, I'm really sorry you feel like that.
Yeah, totally.
I have to say, I am a bit homophobic with doctors. If I'm going to the hospital and my doctor is gay and good looking and jacked, I'm like, where the fuck were you 8 hours ago, girl? And is the G out of the system?
It's like, get that man away from me. It's like, I know. I've seen you.
I know what you're up to.
I know what you're up to. Work hard, play hard. That's
exactly, because the doctor ones are the more intense totally, party girls.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't trust gay doctors. I say that as a former gay doctor.
Get your gays to do like, I don't know, styling or something.
Get them to write books. Get them to be actors.
Exactly. It's been a great conversation. We've been chatting for a while, but my final questions are, what have you had enough of?
Yeah, so I thought about this one, and I think what I've had enough of is people not asking for what they want. Okay. And then maybe as a second part, like then being disappointed when they don't get it.
Elaborate.
So I have a lot of friends, a lot of single friends, often my single girlies, and my heart goes out to the straight single girlies out there because it is hard. But
well, they are sharing articles about being having a boyfriend being embarrassing.
Yes, yes. But
They're
like,
loving it.
Sometimes they'll be like, oh, the guy I'm seeing never does this for me. He doesn't text me back. He doesn't buy me flowers. I just want him to do this. And I'm like, have you said that that's what you want?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, why would I? That's so embarrassing. Or like in kind of friendships, people will sometimes like fall out because like a need's not being met.
Yeah.
But it's never been expressed. And I kind of like, I mean, I definitely need to get better at it. But I think I'm at a place now where I'm like, if I want to be treated in a certain way, I'm going to ask for it. And if I don't get it, then that's not the kind of treatment I want. And I think especially when it comes to dating, people are scared that if they're like too much or that they ask for too much or they think they're too needy, then people will go. Those people are meant to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
if they can't give you what they want, what you want, then they're not meant for you. And so I've had enough. I've had enough of that.
Yeah, I
Me
mean,
and
you
for my
can't
friends.
expect people to be mind readers. you
Well,
know?
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's a nice one. And what can't you get enough of?
So what can't I get enough of? I was talking to my friend last night about this because I was thinking, and I don't know whether to go with an earnest one or a joke one.
Why don't you give us the joke one first and then the earnest one afterwards?
Okay, so the joke one is I can't get enough of ties. I am buying too many. I am going to have to like fashion them into something else. I wear a tie pretty much every day. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like, I dress mostly like a toddler that's having to go to church.
That's very in right now, though.
It
That
is
is
very
very in right now.
So I am wearing a tie kind of all the time. I'm wearing one now.
How many do you have? Do you know?
No, impossible to count.
Where are you getting them from? Charity shops?
Charity shops.
Okay.
Yeah, charity shops. My granddad had an amazing collection of ties, and so I've inherited some of those. And yeah, charity shops. I think I probably have upwards of 50 ties.
Oh, so interesting. I have exactly 2 ties. I didn't have to wear a tie for school, so it's not within my...
Yeah, so I
vibe.
did. I have one of my ties from school, actually. And I wore it on a date, and it turned out the
He
guy
went to the same school?
had been in the same school, and he kind of liked it.
How did it go?
Yeah, it went all right.
Okay, we'll leave it there. And what was the sincere one? What was the sincere one?
Yeah, I can't get enough of kissing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it is the most joyful thing that 2 human beings can do.
Yeah.
It's funny. It feels so nice. I love to kiss my friends. I love to kiss my lovers. I love making out in the club. I love making out at home, in the street. Whenever I see people kissing, I'm like, yeah, you're like doing the thing. Like that's what we're meant to do.
Yeah, it is quite funny, because what is it?
Yeah, you're just like putting your like mouths
faces
together.
together,
Like
yeah.
it's a bit like it should be gross. It's not. It's the best thing in the world. And like I think if everyone was kissing more, everyone would be way happier.
When I stopped taking drugs and alcohol, actually, this probably is more of a sign about what I'm like. Kissing actually almost replaced the buzz of it. It was kind of weird. Like if I was getting bored at like a rave or Adonis, and then I would meet someone I fancied, and we'd then kiss for the next 4 hours, and I could stay there for like 4 hours extra just from meeting
100%.
someone and kissing them.
I had that. I was at a day party and I was sober and I was really bored and I was like, oh, I need to go home. And then I kissed someone and I was like, I've got an hour. I can stay for an hour and then I can have another kiss and then I can probably stay for another hour. Like it really does be like that.
Do you like? Are you an animal person?
Yeah.
Do you like dog kiss you?
No,
Yeah.
I don't. That
After
is-
all those people who kiss you, like watching it, like
Yeah, no. That is white people stuff. I don't let a dog kiss me. That's...
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I guess that's no better way to end than that. I've really enjoyed this, Will.
So have I.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Cut.